At this point, the transfer portal has taken over the college football world, especially at the quarterback spot. It seems like every year now, a team has a new starting quarterback who was a transfer, and Colorado is now following suit. After having Shedeur Sanders the last 2 years, they're hoping to move in a new direction for at least this next season, as they got Kaidon Salter. Salter was one of the better Group of 5 quarterbacks over the last couple of years, as he ended up starting out at Tennessee, but transferred to Liberty, where he became a really good player. He's now at Colorado and the presumed starter, and in today's video, we're going to talk about Colorado's crazy new quarterback and go through his story. Why did he get kicked out of Tennessee? How did he become a top 60 recruit? And how good was he at Liberty? We're going to talk about all of that today, but before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about the rise of Kaidon Salter. So in order to understand how he got to this point, let's first go back in time. Kaidon Salter was born in the state of Texas, and he started getting recruited when he was in 8th grade. Going into his freshman season, he ended up going to a Baylor camp, and Coach Joey McGuire was all over him. They started building a relationship, and Salter was one of the names to watch. He ended up going to Dallas's Bishop Lynch High School, and he'd play there until his sophomore season. During that sophomore season, Salter threw for 1,300 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 4 picks, and he also ran for 268 yards and 6 more touchdowns. He reported his first FBS offer later that April, as the Liberty Flames came in and offered him. He also had schools like Texas Southern and Illinois State offer him, and he said, quote, "The offers came out of nowhere. It's blessed to be getting offers at this age, and usually you don't get them until your junior year." He was on the verge of breaking out, and he was getting interest from schools like Texas, Baylor, and Houston, and then he eventually decided to transfer. He would go to 6A public powerhouse Cedar Hill High School instead, and as a junior in 2019, he exploded, throwing for 2,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, and also running for 600 yards and 10 scores. Then everything would change. He was at McGee-Tyson Airport, which was nearly 900 miles away from Cedar Hill, when he found out that classes would be canceled after spring break due to everything going on in the world. This was peak time for his recruitment, and he had a line of visits including Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia Tech, and South Carolina. He'd now have to make a decision with everything going on in the world, and it was weird. He narrowed his list to Tennessee, Auburn, Baylor, Arkansas, Michigan State, UCLA, Georgia Tech, and Ole Miss, and he was wanted by every school in the country. During his senior season at Cedar Hill, he apparently accounted for 3,800 yards and 48 touchdowns while playing in the toughest district in Texas. He led Cedar Hill to their first state final since 2014, and he was a legendary player. His coach said he reminds him of Charlie Ward, the former Florida State quarterback. The district Salter plays in is consistently known as the toughest in the entire state of Texas. Cedar Hill, DeSoto, and Duncanville, and Salter continues to show more and more, regardless of how tough his competition is. So where would Kaden go? Well, he eventually chose Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt, but there was another factor to it. Tennessee's quarterback's coach was Chris Winkie, who won the 2000 Heisman Trophy, and that played a part in his decision because he was on the staff. He said, quote, "I know he'll be able to build me up and make it to the next level. They told me I was their only quarterback they were going after in 2021, and people were trying to commit, and they were letting them commit. They were waiting on me and what my decision was, and you can't beat a school that's only recruiting you." That was real big, and it was an eye-opener. Salter said he wanted to be more than a running quarterback, he wanted to be an NFL quarterback, and that's part of the reason why he wanted to embrace Tennessee's pro-style attack with some of the spread concepts they have. He said, quote, "They want to build me into a pro-style quarterback, and that's what I want to be. I don't want to be a quarterback who goes to college just to run, I want to show off my arm." Total in his high school career, Salter passed for 6,000 yards, 52 touchdowns, and 16 picks, while also rushing for 1,600 more and 26 touchdowns. According to 24/7 Sports, Salter was a 4-star recruit, the number 7 quarterback, and the 48th best player in the class of 2021. So how did he end up doing at Tennessee? Well, let's take a look. So when Salter arrived at Tennessee, he had a good amount of hype, and now Josh Heupel was there. Jeremy Pruitt ended up being fired due to all that McDonald's bag stuff, so he was thrown a wrench. Except that coaching change would not be the reason why Salter would end up leaving. He had enrolled early, and was eventually arrested and suspended indefinitely regarding an incident at a dorm on campus. There were 3 players who were suspended after they were arrested, and it was a misdemeanor for drug possession. The site did report it was unclear if Salter was arrested at the time, but 1 week later, he was reinstated and resumed football activities. But then, it came crashing down again. He then had charges of possession and driving without a license, and a statement from the team said, quote, Kaidon Salter has been dismissed from our football program. We wish Kaden and his family the best of luck in future endeavors. It was now in the winter, and he'd have to find a new school, and he would transfer to Hugh Freeze and the Liberty Flames. The Flames were getting one of the highest rated quarterback prospects in school history, and the 4-star quarterback came to Lynchburg to sit behind Malik Willis. He'd get a chance to learn the game, and then hopefully take over for Liberty at some point. Salter would play very sparingly in 2021, throwing for 1 touchdown pass on 39 yards. 2022 was not much different, as he'd end up passing for 1,086 yards with 8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Malik Willis was now off to the NFL, and Salter would take over for the 2023 season. How did he do? Well, he was really good. In his first season as a full-time starter, he completed 61% of his passes for 2,876 yards with 32 touchdowns. He also ran for 1,089 yards and 12 touchdowns, and Salter became one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football in 2023. Liberty enjoyed a breakout season in which they went all the way to the Fiesta Bowl, where they played against number 8 Oregon and got killed 45-6. Salter led them to an undefeated regular season, and he had a couple of good games, including 4 touchdowns against Louisiana Tech, 3 against Western Kentucky, 5 against Buffalo, and 4 touchdowns against UMass. Salter could have transferred to a bigger program or potentially have declared for the 2024 NFL Draft, but he elected to come back for one more season. This past year with the Flames, he fell off a little bit, as Salter only passed for 1,800 yards with 15 touchdowns and 6 picks, while running for just under 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Liberty also wasn't as good, as they ended up losing 3 games with him as the starter, and he only had over 3 passing touchdowns in 2 games, which came against East Carolina and Kennesaw State, and they lost that game to the Owls. Salter was still good, but things had just been a little bit different. Hugh Freeze and Jamie Chadwell run different systems, but with one more year of eligibility remaining, Salter elected to use the 2025 transfer portal to his advantage. In 4 years with the Liberty Flames, he started 29 games, and he threw for 6,000 yards, 56 touchdowns, and 7 picks, while also rushing for 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns. As I said, he had plenty of suitors in the 2025 portal, but his little brother Kaidon Salter actually played for Deion Sanders' youth football team, so there was a connection for him to go to Colorado. Shedeur Sanders had also left for the 2025 NFL Draft, so they would need a new quarterback. Julian Lewis is just a 17-year-old freshman, so it made a lot of sense when he decided to transfer there. Why the Buffs? He said, quote, "I just felt like I could fall in love with the offense. Being able to have explosive receivers and have a group of coaches and people around me that would support me and only want the better for me." Salter has one more year of eligibility remaining, and while playing for the Buffs meant there would be competition, he knows that the staff in Colorado he'll learn from some of the best in the business and hopefully follow in the footsteps of Shedeur. I personally think Kaden is pretty solid, as I don't think he's at the top of the Big 12, but he's nowhere near the bottom either. I feel like all the Big 12 quarterbacks are pretty similar this season, and Salter is definitely dynamic. He fell off a bit in 2024, but that 2023 season was pretty insane. He probably became one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the nation that year, and if he can find some magic this season at Colorado, there's a chance he could shoot up draft boards. Salter is not your typical NFL quarterback prospect, but who knows? He could have a really good season, and at minimum, he could become one of the best star quarterbacks in college football. But yeah, today we talked about Kaidon Salter, and what do you guys think? How do you think he'll do this year at Colorado? And who's another transfer quarterback I could take a look at next? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out one of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.